thing, you know.
I should. The whole episode. All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 115 of the Fantasy Timeline, a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. I'm Josh at Real Fantasy TL. I'm with the co-host with the most, Drew at Dr_PRA. Drew, how you doing, brother?
Well, apparently my email continues to fool people because I'm getting ready to go refinance tomorrow, and all of my emails this week from the title company have been addressed to Dr. Prawl. So
Nice.
I'm going to show up in my finest polo tomorrow, see if I can keep it going.
Hey, and that's what we bring to you here at the Fantasy Timeline. We don't just get regular folk. We get doctors on here to help you with fantasy advice. We don't just use common people like me. You know, that wouldn't be any fun. You got to get a doctor in here and do that. But if you're watching us on YouTube, and you should be, we got Justin Rogers at Run DFF. Justin, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm lovely. I skipped out on finishing up putting the baby to bed, so I'll probably be in trouble later. But for now, I'm good.
Listen, put off getting in trouble today when you can get in trouble tomorrow. That's my motto. So,
I'm good at that. So
I could probably write a book on it. But Justin, before we get started, tell everybody who you are, where you're at, and what you're up to.
Well, I'm just an old redneck from Mississippi. You can find me on the Hot Sauce Pod, Dynasty Hot Sauce Pod, Larry Monkey, my counterpart there, and on Twitter at RunDFF. But other than that, I'm just, living that Dynasty life.
Just did 100 episodes, yeah?
Yeah, we just did our 100th episode on Monday. So, yeah.
God,
I have no idea how I made it that long with Larry. So,
yeah, God bless.
Hear this and he'll understand.
God bless you. I think that gets you put up for sainthood or something like that. So I'll be watching out for the Saint Justin medallions and all that stuff.
They're coming. Absolutely.
But yeah, you guys, you and Larry rock it on Hot Sauce. That's always a good time. That's a show. Whenever I talk to people about it, I'm just like, just imagine you and your friends just hanging out wherever, at a buddy's house, at the bar, at a party, whatever. It's laid back. It's a lot of fun. Usually get a good laugh, usually because Larry said or did something. But I love that show. And you sold yourself a little short. You are part of the Trade Addicts B team.
That's true. Occasionally you find me on Trade Addicts when Russ or Rocky decide they want to sleep an extra few hours at night or something. I don't know what they do when they dip out.
Yeah. Sleep. I don't even know what sleep is right now. So
I have no idea.
So, but yeah, so keeps the DAP Network month going with a little bit of the Trade Addicts B team action. But since we got all that out of the way, why don't we go to the news? Some interesting things going on here. Joe Schoen hired as GM for the Giants. He's coming from Buffalo. And before we go any further, moment of silence for Drew's Buffalo Bills. All right. So yeah, that's rough. And at some point, if we want to debate the legalities of overtime, we might get into it. But yeah, so not only did they lose the game, they lost an assistant GM who's now the GM for New York. But you gained the best wide receiver in the league, Gabe Davis. So congratulations.
Clearly.
Gabe Davis 101 in your startup draft. Go get him.
Do it.
Ryan Poles goes to Chicago to be the GM of the Bears. He's coming from Kansas City. So two teams that usually make bad decisions, at least trying to get guys who have won something before into their building to see if they can replicate the magic. And then finally, this happened just today. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah hired as GM of the Vikings. He's coming from Cleveland. So that's going to be real interesting. And I was actually kind of like looking at some stuff on him today. I mean, this dude went to Princeton, was on Princeton's basketball team, was a commodities trader, and then got himself into football and big analytics guys. So I wonder what the analytics say when they look at Kirk Cousins' contract. That's going to be interesting because I think most of the analytics say that hurts.
I can tell you what the analytics also say. Ooh, we're stuck with this one.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you said that, Justin, because I keep hearing people say, "Well, if the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins, okay, you give me the trade scenario where first of all, I know Minnesota's going to have to eat some part of that contract. Like they don't just get to trade him and not eat anything.
I can give you an idea in a minute. It's 35 mil is what they can trade, and I believe his dead cap is like 45. So
Yeah,
10 million.
I know his
With
dead
signing
cap is
bonus.
45.
Yeah, so so 10 million of that is what they're eating on a trade.
If they can trade the whole thing,
The whole 35 mil, right?
And I mean, what team goes, let's eat 35 million for Kirk Cousins?
I can't imagine them doing anything but saying, you know what, we got one more year of this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we move on.
Yeah, I mean, you get a head coach in there. You probably are going to want somebody offensive minded because even though the contract's bad, Kirk Cousins is a fine NFL quarterback. He's not elite. He's not even very good, but he's fine. You got Justin Jefferson. You got Adam Thielen. You got Dalvin Cook. You got Alexander Madison. Maybe Irv Smith can become a thing. You're talented on offense. So I figure if you're going to try to make something of this season, you would want to get somebody on the offensive side of the ball. And usually teams do that. Mike Zimmer was a defensive guy. They like to go opposite. So I figure they'll go offensive guy. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting. I mean, all three of these are going to be interesting spots. But the last piece I got here is Sean Payton, and then I put retiring, and then I put maybe with a question mark because now the rumors are he's going to like do TV for a year and then come back just to get out of the Saints contract. So we'll see what happens with Sean Payton. Maybe
basically what he's done is he got a really aging roster in Dynasty, and he's going to drop this team and then possibly pick up an orphan is what he's possibly thinking about doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and the funny thing is it's probably not not an orphan in the traditional. Usually orphans are very bad, you know. Sean Payton is
a good orphan. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to get one of those rare good orphans where it's, like this is my team. Okay.
He's like my TA4 team. That's what he's going to get. Where I ended up with like Saquon, and before I made a bunch of trades, Saquon and AJ Brown, and like it was like,
I didn't get that in TA4.
Like, do what?
I didn't get that in TA4.
Yeah,
I got the traditional orphan.
Yeah.
I also saw somebody.
Scott and I joke about it because Outhouse asked him, which one do you want to be? And I think he picked 5, and his team was awful. And so I got stuck with 4, and it was like, I can make this work here.
I got things. I'm doing all right.
I can work with this piece.
Yeah, Drew is going to be more the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars than the head coach of whatever good team decides they want to let their coach go next year. Yeah. So
the Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
They're good enough. That's what I think.
No, I know. I don't understand why they fired Flores. Like
they don't, because he wanted Deshaun Watson and they want to stick with Tua. I think.
That's a team that Drew would head coach for. No, I don't want Deshaun Watson. You give me Tua because I love him.
I'm not going to Jacksonville. I'm going further south.
Yeah. There was another one on there that's now a big question mark that you deleted completely.
Oh, which one did I delete?
Old Byron Leftwich.
Yeah. Old Byron.
Go, and we're like, he's going to be the Jaguars head coach. And now it's like, there's snags. They're still interviewing now. Like, what happened?
This is the Jaguars being the Jaguars. Like, you have a guy.
Oh, man.
He's been an offensive coordinator for the last few years, running good offenses. And I actually was talking with somebody on the Twitter machine about, everybody looks good when they have Tom Brady. And I go, okay, cool. But if you actually sit down and read articles about the way that Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady talk to each other, bounce ideas off of each other, Tom Brady is trying to incorporate things that Byron Leftwich is trying to show him. It's not just Tom Brady telling this guy to go sit in a corner and wait till the game is done. They seem to have a pretty good relationship. And wouldn't you want a guy who not only played quarterback in the NFL and understands what that life is like, but played quarterback in Jacksonville
in that stadium with that team, exactly. Yeah,
and knows the pressures of being the quarterback of that dumpster fire? It makes perfect sense, and the Jaguars are just like, nah, we want to interview defensive coordinators because that's what we want for Trevor Lawrence's progression. Let's get a defensive guy in the house. I mean, Shad Khan will probably do that, but
well, they're interviewing Nathaniel Hackett now again. Like, oh well, we're just going to interview. Oh, shit, never mind. We can't get our guy. They're probably offering Leftwich like 1.2 million, like a 5-year 1.2 million, some crap offer because
they still got to pay out Urban, so they're probably saying if we can average it out to be the normal salary of a head coach, we'll be winning here. So,
bastards.
Yeah,
Leftwich and Tua, can't wait.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I could be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, T-Law's still going to have more fantasy points than Tua. He ain't got to worry about that.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
he did it this year with Urban. Just think about that statement.
Yeah.
It can't get worse than Urban. Like, it can't. Just Urban's it, man. Like, it's only up from here. So, I don't know if you heard about that, Justin, but Drew and I made a little bet, $5 bet for charity about who would have more fantasy points in 2022. T-Law or Tua, and Drew loves him some Tua. So loves him some Tua. So
I did hear that bet. So
he went with Tua. I let him.
I had such a strong track record this year. How could I go wrong?
Yeah. I almost feel like Drew shouldn't gamble at all, but he keeps doing it. So,
well, at least there's no spread on that one. What was the one that you?
the
Pittsburgh receivers
receiver bet.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, we were like the original Deontay Johnson podcast, and everybody went away from Deontay. Friend of the show, Deontay Johnson, and I just had to clean up after Juju decided he didn't want to play for half the season and got injured the other half. So, yeah, it was. We modified that bet a little bit though, because that was a wide spread.
You're 25 cents a spot for this one.
we had to modify it. I mean, Drew. I don't think Drew would be on the show anymore if I held him to the original bet. So I think he would have been like,
"No, man, no."
I called the hotline. They told me not to do it anymore. This is my last one.
So I think that pretty much covers it. You guys haven't heard any whispers in the wind about any other news going on. Interesting that Las Vegas is the only team left without a GM. So heard that today, and I was like, sounds like something Las Vegas would do. So
I think what's his name, Brian Dayball or whatever. I think he ends up being the Giants coach. I think that's where they're leaning, and it looks like that's where.
Yeah, I think it looks like the finalists are Dayball and Flores. So
yeah, I think them hiring Schoen clears the way for it. So
yeah, and
if we're kind of looking ahead to what you might be talking about next week, I think that's where you're at.
And maybe you guys are a little bit more plugged in than I am, but have you heard a lot about Flores getting interviews? Because I haven't, which is kind of surprising to me. But maybe I'm just not as plugged in. I mean, I kind of have heard him linked to the Giants, but I haven't heard a lot. I mean, I would have thought by now he would have been making the rounds everywhere.
And yeah.
Yeah, Denver,
It's
Vegas.
weird. I wonder if he's walking into the interviews and they're saying, are you comfortable with the quarterbacks here? And he's going, I want Deshaun Watson. If I'm gonna coach here, I want to make a play for Deshaun. I wonder if that's part of his thing, and there's teams that are turned off.
I know.
I don't know. Like
Which is so weird because out of all the openings, like who is at these quarterback positions where you're not like, yeah, we should get Deshaun Watson. Like, no offense. I mean, like in Vegas, a Derek Carr isn't going to keep me from trying to get Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I could get him, but I'm saying it's not going to stop me from trying.
Right.
I mean, Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. Okay. I'll send them both and a plain load of cash to get Deshaun Watson. Like, you can have them both and all this money, please. Just let me. What do we got? Obviously Miami made their choice. They're sticking with Tua. Daniel Jones, like that's going to keep me from trying to get Deshaun.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what are these teams thinking if that is the reason why he's saying, hey, I want Deshaun. I got a plan. This is my plan. It includes Deshaun at QB. And they're like, the guys we have in the building right now are really the guys we want to go to war with. I would walk out. They wouldn't even have to kick me out. I'd be like, okay.
Cool. Well, if you want to stick with mediocrity, then I'm going to go find a new job.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later. I'm sure there is one team in the league, I mean, a team like Houston could really never mind. Yep. So
yeah, about that.
Let's go to the timeline. All right, so this first one here is from Jimbo Threats at Clampsy Actual. Those are two interesting names. If we're so high on T. Higgins as the number 2 in a high-powered offense, why are we not as high on Gabe Davis going into 2022? Drew, since you're the Bills fan, I'm going to keep you for last. Justin, why don't you start us off?
Dude, you guys are going to hate me if you like Gabe Davis.
Go ahead.
Because he's never been the number 2. They brought in Emmanuel Sanders. They had Cole Beasley. This dude couldn't beat out either of them to get snaps. He couldn't beat them out to get targets, and he couldn't beat them out to actually have production on the field. I mean, and everyone's like, oh, well, those 2 guys are gone. So are we thinking they're not going to bring anybody else in? They're just going to sit on their hands and go, oh, yeah, Gabe Davis, cool, we'll take that. I don't know. If they bring in an Emmanuel Sanders type, I'm not saying like literally the type of receiver, but that level of receiver, in my mind, Gabe Davis just gets bumped again. Like the guy has 1,100 something yards in 2 years. That's a great. I mean, it's not even a great season. It's a fine season if you have 1,100 yards in a season. It's not great if that's your 2-year total. Whatever.
I mean,
sorry, Gabe Davis lovers.
Well, I mean, maybe Drew will fight the fight for Gabe Davis. I'm not. Listen, Gabe Davis is like a fine wide receiver to have on your team. Like, you look at the roster, and if Gabe Davis is in the wide receiver room, you're like, okay, like that's not a bad thing to have. But look at what we've seen from T. Higgins. And we talked about this last week, about how T. Higgins and CeeDee Lamb, stats-wise, are pretty much the same guy. So we all love CeeDee Lamb. Some of us more than others, but we all love him. And T. Higgins statistically is that guy.
Right.
Gabe Davis isn't like, is not even in that area code. He's not even in that state.
Gabe Davis has 59 more yards or 57 more yards than T. Higgins does for his 2 seasons versus T. Higgins' 2021 season.
So I just pulled up free agent wide receivers just to get an idea of who's on the market. Emmanuel Sanders back on the market. We talked about that. But Allen Robinson, might have to take a low ball deal because he was
Yeah.
terrible this year. Big names, Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams, at least Adams is probably going to get franchise tag. Will Fuller, Juju Smith-Schuster, AJ Green, Mike Williams,
Yeah.
Zay Jones. Like, I see any of those guys coming in, and Gabe Davis just, all right, you're back to being number 3.
Relegated. Yeah.
And if what we saw from Dawson Knox this year isn't an aberration, which, by the way, I think it is, but if it's not an aberration, then you're like the fourth option. Like, listen, I love Josh Allen. He's one of the best QBs in the league, but he's not supporting 4 guys for fantasy. So, yeah, like, hey, listen, you want to take the roll of the dice and hope that the Bills think he's the number 2 guy and they don't spend any high draft capital or don't sign one of these free agent wide receivers. Go for the gold, but I'm not getting him at the prices that he's going for right now. So let's see, Drew, are you going to talk us out of our craziness here and tell us why we should all love Gabe Davis?
Well, I just made 2 trades for him. No, I'm just kidding. If based on the question here, you look at the pedigree that both of the guys came into the league with, and it should be pretty clear. You have a guy that came in from a championship-winning team in college, Power 5, etc. Played with Deshaun Watson. Guy came in from UCF, which isn't a bad school. They've produced some good product, or some good guys have come into the league, but taken in the 4th round. So I mean, just at face value, there should be pretty clear why there's different expectations for both of those guys. As far as what you're getting Gabe Davis for now, nobody in their right mind should be going and offering anything close to what people are wanting for him. I think ultimately, his cost to get him on your roster will come down, especially if some of those things happen where they add a free agent or something like that. And at that point, I'm back in. I think I would take, if his cost comes back down to more reasonable, where I would throw a second somewhere for him to see if Josh Allen in the 3rd year does continue to look his direction, and he is he another like Marvin Jones early on, where he has some of these blow up games, and then otherwise it takes him a while to develop into a really good wide receiver, maybe. Where people are asking for him now, Amon-Ra St. Brown or Gabe Davis, Darnell Mooney or Gabe Davis. I mean, it's pretty easy. If you get those kind of offers and you have Gabe Davis, you should probably make the move yesterday.
Literally, while you guys were talking, I was sitting here going, I got to bring up Darnell Mooney. Like the Gabe Davis hype has far surpassed the Darnell Mooney hype in this recency biased last week or so. And man, that's an easy buy for me. And I'm not even a huge Mooney guy, but the kid just put up 1,000 yards. Got 140 something targets, I think it was. I mean, that means something. I always look at usage. I always want to see high target volumes. It doesn't mean that it's going to be repeated, but it means that he earned his way onto the field.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on that. I would actually think rather try to get a pick out of somebody for a Gabe Davis. But if I'm looking, for a player for player trade, I want somebody like a Darnell Mooney, who I've been like, okay, I've seen this dude get 145 targets, 150 targets last year. Like, I want to see a guy who's done that. Even like an Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm lower than him than I think everyone on the planet right now. So I don't really want the kind of like, I feel like he's Gabe Davis. Like, they use one of their first round picks on a wide receiver. They're not going to get anybody in free agency because they're still trying to build that team. But what if like a Chris Olave falls to, I think, well, right now the Rams pick is still actually up in the air. Right now it could be as high as 30 and obviously as low as 32 if they win the Super Bowl. So what if they do that? Then all of a sudden it's like, all right, you got Hawkinson. If Swift can ever stay healthy, you have a Chris Olave, and then Here comes Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th position. I feel like he's a lot of Gabe Davis-ish type vibes. But get that pick. Drew said you would, a second for him?
I would send a second as long as it's not in the top half. I'd send a 205 or later, and at that point, sure, I'll take a shot at the guy who's done something in the NFL, and again, tied to a good quarterback, typically high volume. That's the type of fairly conservative dice roll I'll take there. Anything in the top half of the second, you just don't know how draft's going to go. We don't know where guys are going to land and who's going to gain some hype, and those early seconds can gain value pretty quick once you get to the draft.
Justin, what about you? Draft pick wise, what would you feel comfortable giving up for Gabe Davis?
It'd have to be a really late second, 210, 211-ish. I do like the receiver class going into the early to mid second round this year. I think that you're going to find there's going to be some T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Elijah Moore types that you're going to find at 204, 205. I think it's a deeper wide receiver class this year than last year. And last year was nice. But
yeah, I'm going to be interested because I haven't really started diving into rookies yet because I don't do anything with incoming rookies until after the season is done. So I just started kind of running backs. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. And
at least you don't have much to study there.
Very true. I got about 6 deep, and I said, "Okay, this is all I need to know." I laid off on wide receiver because I knew wide receiver was going to take the most amount of time, to be honest with you. Because even if you just look at an NFL mock draft, some have 5 wide receivers going in the first round, some have 6 going.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, I'll probably look at QBs next because again, that'll probably be a short day's work. So
I think you're going to find the George Pickens and David Bells of the world at 204, 205.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be interesting.
It's like Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. Okay, I'm going to go run in traffic now. I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, now don't fully get off of Isaiah Spiller there.
Yeah, he's all right. He's fine.
Well, then that's where the teardrop is because my goodness, after that. The 3rd round just take shots.
And that's the thing. So I'm saying the tier is 2. You're saying the tier is 3. We're not that different. And then it's just I'd rather just get hit in the head with a brick than have to deal with any of these other guys that are coming out. So wide receiver is going to be the most fun though. Trying to see all right, who's where, who's doing what with who, and that's going to be a lot of fun because you got Jameson Williams, you got Treylon Burks, even guys like Chris Olave who are probably going to go later in the first in the actual NFL draft are still going to be fun watches. So I'm pumped about that. But all right, let's move on. We had a lot of fun talking about why Gabe Davis is nowhere near T. Higgins. This next one here is from MH Lefko at FF_MEM powered. And a guy we just talked about. Would you rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown or a first round pick? And this is the easiest question ever, but I'm gonna take this in another direction. So let's not worry about it. We all agree, first round pick, right? We all need to talk about why it's the first round pick. Okay, good. We're all nodding our heads. Yes.
I went the first.
Yeah. I don't care if it's 112. I don't care if it's 114. Or I don't care. It has a 1 in front of it. Give it to me. But this is where, and Justin, you're a really good example of this because I've seen you take a team from garbage and turn it into a championship team. This is where
on the way. I can't wait for it.
It's coming.
I know. It would be right here if it was here.
You should have it on Friday.
Good enough.
But this is where good teams win championships. Dude, Amon-Ra St. Brown, look, I think he's a jag. other people think that he could be something, and that's fine. Like I'm not sitting here saying that if you think he can be something, you're wrong. But do you ever think the hype on Amon-Ra St. Brown will ever be where it is right now to where you can get a first round pick? Probably not. Like,
No.
unless we're all just, unless,
I'm willing to bet that I'm not wrong, that we are not wrong. Like, I'm willing to take that bet. And if we are wrong, I didn't lose anything because you got him at the late second, early third in a rookie draft. So you're turning profit if you're selling for a first, that kind of thing.
And think about it, even if you go, okay, 112 for Amon-Ra St. Brown, you hit accept, you got that 112. We all say right now, 2022, it's not a good draft. Quarterbacks, not really that good. Running backs, not really that good. A lot of wide receivers, a tight end, maybe two. We say that now. We say that January 26th.
Yeah.
April 26th, right before the draft, we're all hot and bothered. We're watching these guys go places. Our rookie drafts are in a week or two. That 112 is worth gold. That 112 will get you, even if you need a wide receiver back because you traded Amon-Ra, it's going to get you a player way better than that. Like, even the 112, and we, trust me, I've been through, amazing rookie drafts where we think every guy is going to be a Hall of Famer. And I've sat through the bad ones where we're like, oh, all these guys suck. And it doesn't matter. We all get excited. We all want rookie picks. We make trades to get them. And it's going to happen. So, if you're getting that first round pick, I hope you already hit accept. If you didn't hit accept, hit it right now. Please do that right now because we want to see you win. And that's how you like Justin said, you make profit. Like selling your Gabe Davises now, selling your Amon-Ra St. Browns now, and just peak value. And
selling your Amon-Ra St. Browns 3 weeks ago, peak value. Like, don't pass up the value when it's presented to you.
I agree. I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to talk about, kind of like value wise and kind of, just selling at high points.
I think another, you brought up what the 112 could get you. And I got into this a little bit, just a short little exchange today on Twitter. So it was like 2 firsts, or it's like it ended up being like 3 firsts for Jamar Chase. And I was like, man, I would take the firsts. And someone said, I'd rather get a player than than picks. And my rebuttal was, you can get players with those firsts. Like, you are not stuck making those picks. You don't have to wait. If you get a 2024 first this offseason, it's not like you have to wait until 2024 to use that pick. That pick is a commodity that can be traded. Always think about that. Like, any first is going to grow in value as you get closer and closer anyway. If you can get a first on the low right now, take the first on the low. If you have to take a 2023 first, that's going to be gold in like October, November, when you're like, all right, I need a player. There is no telling what the hype is going to be like on it, especially for a team that's out of it. You got to think about it like that. Like that pick doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to mature in April of 2023. It can mature in October of 2022 for your team.
Yeah,
you can cash in on that investment.
And I love that because I think people, and I don't know why, because as dynasty players, we're always like, all right, like what can we get for this asset? What can we trade Jamar Chase for? What can we trade Josh Allen for? What can we trade CeeDee Lamb for? But then we get like these picks, and then we're like, well, we have to make these picks. Like we can't do anything with these. And it's like, no, they're like everything else. You could trade those bad boys. You could put them in a deal, trade them straight up, wait till you're on the clock. Like you have options. Like I'm doing a startup right now, and I think damn near everyone has traded 2023 picks. There's some 2024 picks that have been traded already. Like, and that's just in the startup. There hasn't been a down of football played in 2020. Well, regular season ball played in 2022. So, like you said, those are always assets that you can do what you want with, and you can get actual NFL players if that's your thing. Like,
Short logic with a great point. Aren't we all doing that startup?
we are all doing that startup. I have wanted to for a very long time, like crowdsource a startup, and I was like, just gonna make it this one, and literally the FTC and shameless plug here, FTC Fantasy Timeline Chat. If you want to be a part of it, just email Drew, myself, or hit us up at the show handle Fantasy Timeline, and you could be a part of that too. You can just get my random screenshots of what's on the board right now and say, "Oh, what do you guys think?" And I've had a ton of fun with it because it's just like some of the picks that have been made are different than probably what I would have done, but I want to see how it all turns out. So I've been kind of letting everyone get their opinions in, and then it's kind of like, all right, whoever has the most votes, that's what I take. So it should be a lot of fun with that. But yeah, we are all doing that one. But yeah, like you can trade those picks at any time. Like, and if you want to make the picks, hey, I'm not saying don't make them, but
In that aforementioned league where I took a dumpster fire and turned it into a championship, I think I made, and this is I include the 22 picks because I traded those, but I think I had like 11 first rounders in 3 years, and I think I actually made the pick on the clock for 3 of those picks. It's not a I have to wait for this pick. It's okay. I've got these picks. Let me turn them into something. So, and Larry always made fun of me going into the season. He said, you don't have the pieces. You don't have the pieces. I said, look, I'm sitting on 4 first rounders. Let's see what happens. And I made a big move, got like 5 wide receivers or whatever, and ended up with a crap ton of starters and had the depth to suffer through some injuries. And it was all because I was willing to move those picks. You don't have to sit on the picks.
Yeah, because didn't you, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you move like a bunch of those picks to get like Kyler Murray or something like that?
No, I traded the 101 twice in one offseason to get Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes.
There you
I traded the 101, then got it back, and then traded it again. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, it's amazing. And during the season, you're looking at those picks like, oh, these things, they don't really matter right now. We're in the season. It's point scoring and everything. But you could still attach them to deals. But, man, once you get to this part of the season, the non-point scoring season,
you don't even want to get rid of them. Yeah.
All of a sudden, everyone is just like, oh, you have a first-round pick. What can I give you? Can I give you this amazing player? It's a first-round pick. And, I mean, if you want to give me a player better than what I think this pick is, absolutely, come on down. We'll make a deal, especially when teams are like, oh, I have, this 27-year-old wide receiver. He's not going to be good next year because like all 27-year-olds have to suck. And you go, oh, okay, well, this will be a nice piece on a championship team. And you did that. You really turned, you did that with a lot of picks, and you would make picks and then trade them. So
yeah, I didn't care. I had no loyalty to anything that I did.
And that's the thing too. Sometimes you're on the clock, and the trade offers aren't coming in, or they're not what you think they are, and then you make a pick. We'll use 2022 picks. Hey, I got the 102. Looking for some deals. I get some deals. They suck. You go, all right, 102. I got nothing going on. I'm going to take Treylon Burks. Now all of a sudden, someone sees a name and they go, "Oh, I thought Treylon Burks might drop to 103 or 104." And now all of a sudden, it's an actual guy that they want, and you make that trade after the So it's not always like if you're quote unquote forced to make the pick that you need to be like, okay.
I did not want to take the 101 last year because I had Mahomes, I had Kyler Murray, and it's a 16-team super flex, and I didn't want to because I wanted to diversify. I needed more pieces. but I wasn't getting any decent offers at all. Nothing at all for the greatest quarterback prospect of all time. Blah blah blah. So I said, okay, well, I'll take it and I'll move him later. I ended up moving him for a first, Devontae Adams and Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
And I think I might have thrown something else in.
Yep.
Josh, you'd be able to tell me. But those two pieces, Brandon Cooks and Devontae Adams, were huge parts of that championship run. And then that first became part of the deal that got me like four receivers and James White or something. I can't remember, 5 wide receivers, something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And this is a good one from Short Logic. I've seen second-round picks go for next year's first right after the draft because others missed out on the guy you picked. Yeah, I mean, that I think it's Zach Reed at Tacit Assassin who always goes, man, draft picks are great because it's always like shopping on credit because I can trade, this year's 201 or 202 for next year's first because, somebody fell that someone didn't think would fall and they want to get that guy. So, last year, it was like Rashad Bateman, guys like that, Rondell Moore, who thought they would go in the first and they're there at 201, 202. And you get excited and and he goes, yeah, man, I don't have any problem with that. And then, 2023, all of a sudden I have, 2 firsts just from draft day trades because people wanted to get in on it. So yeah, it's always a lot of picks. It's amazing. They just keep going up in value until, literally you're on the clock. So
Drew, do you try to acquire picks now, or have you kind of settled in like you did that during the season? And
I did most of that during the season for the teams that I'm trying to rebuild. Got a couple that I was able to move some good running backs like Nick Chubb, James Robinson before he got hurt, Aaron Jones. So I was able to turn those into quite a few firsts that I'm sitting on now. But I'm actually looking at one of the leagues and got the 102, the 101, 107, 111, and just waiting to see. I know at some point here, especially once April rolls around, we start to see some landing spots. I expect to get some offers, and then at that point, I've got to temper myself and make sure I don't, just squander what I've got there. So excited to see what that brings. This is my first year really diving into some of those rebuilds, so interested to see how quickly I can turn those around. You set the bar high and what that looks like, so I feel like we should have a disclaimer at the bottom of the screen here. Results not typical, but there's so many different ways to craft the deals. So I think that's the fun part is, like y'all are saying, don't get locked into, well, now that I have a pick, I have to use the pick, or I can only make a 1-for-1 deal here. So get creative with it. Throw some things out there. See what happens. It's all supposed to be fun at the end of the day anyways.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, when you got that many picks, you can do so much with it, so but they'll put that out there for you. Results not typical. You can do so much with it because if you're walking in 3, 4, 5 first round picks, you can move up, you can move down, you can trade for players. You've got so many options available to you. So I did that in a couple of teams I was rebuilding last year where I had multiple first round picks, and that was just so much fun because it was just like, oh, let me move up for this guy. Oh, there's nobody here. Let me move down. Oh, you want this I traded Stephon Diggs for the 108 or 109 during a draft last year. I said, oh, okay, if you don't want Stephon Diggs, I'll take him off your hands for a low first round pick. So yeah, like it's always, got so much flexibility when you're doing that. But all right, let's move on here to our next one. Andrew from XPFF at Fake Footballs. Does tonight's game, and he's talking about the Bills Chiefs battle. R.I.P. Drew. Does tonight's game increase the chance that teams are more willing to take a chance on this? And he puts in quote, weak 2022 QB class earlier in the draft than we thought. I'm going to be honest with you, Andrew. This game has nothing to do with where teams are going to take quarterbacks. Teams will naturally push quarterbacks up their board no matter what, because it's the most important position
Right.
on the team. They're hoping that a prospect that maybe doesn't look so good on tape or doesn't look so good on analytics can come in the building, get coached up, and turn into the next big thing. We have to remember, we talked about, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are both prime examples. Josh Allen came in, dude's not accurate, has a cannon, can't hit the broadside of a barn. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, he's got some athletic ability, but he came from the fun and gun Texas A&M offense. It's kind of gimmicky. I don't really know if he can do that in the NFL. Can he drop back? Can he read the field? Can he read a defense? And both of those guys came in. I mean, in Buffalo, Brian Daboll came in, offensive coordinator, I think really coached them up. Andy Reid, offensive genius in Kansas City, really coached them up. And you got two guys now that are, that played in maybe the best game in NFL history. And every team thinks they can do that with every player. I mean, the list is a mile long. The Baker Mayfields, the Sam Darnolds, the EJ Manuels, if you want to go throwback Bills for Drew.
Really kicking me while I'm down here, Josh.
Yeah. It's a bad week and you're just like burying him over there.
And why don't you bring up Nathan Peterman while you're at
it?
Nobody ever thought Nathan Peterman would be good. I don't want to be disrespectful here. Geno Smith. I mean, we've seen these guys that come in and we just bring them into the building and we coach them up a little bit and they're going to be stars.
I can't wait to see this. Last year, you watched the 49ers make a big move to get up to Trey Lance, right? And I can't wait to see what happens if/when Jimmy G takes him to the Super Bowl and possibly wins.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that? And I don't know if you're directly referencing me.
I'm not.
Okay, and that's fine, because after the 49ers beat my Cowboys, I put out a tweet and I said, who starts week 1, 2022 if Jimmy G
I did see that.
Takes the 49ers to the NFC Championship game? And someone responded, it's still Trey Lance. I said, okay, that's fair. They win, and they are now in the NFC Championship game, so I put out another tweet. Hey, who starts for the 49ers week 1, 2022 if Jimmy G takes them to a Super Bowl? Still Trey Lance. So if they get past the Rams, which, by the way, I don't think they do, but I also didn't think they would get past the Packers. So take that for what it's worth. But if they make it to the Super Bowl,
it's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough because Trey Lance, I think we can all agree, Trey Lance is the better athlete. Trey Lance probably has the better arm. But we haven't seen that. We really haven't seen that guy on an NFL field. I mean, he's played a game and a handful of snaps, but we haven't seen him for 8, 10, 12, 17 games to say, all right, like this is what Trey Lance can do. This is what Trey Lance can't do. And if Jimmy G takes him to a Super Bowl, or by some miracle wins a Super Bowl, I can't believe you just go, all right, Jimmy, talk to you later. Like,
there's no way.
But I mean, they also spent 3 first-round picks to get Trey Lance, so that's a conundrum right there. Yeah. If I can use a big word for once.
They also went to the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick and got rid of him shortly after. Benched him the next year. So
that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah. But I think you're going to see somebody go and take a shot on Malik Willis probably earlier than everybody expects, hoping that he'll be the next Lamar Jackson or something like that. So, yeah, I think I agree, Josh, that quarterbacks they're kind of in this halo where if you're decent, if you're getting invite to the combine and you get there at draft day, you're going to get a good shot at getting drafted early, regardless of. I don't think there's a whole lot. If anything, maybe Jimmy G winning a Super Bowl pumps the brakes on that a little bit of it. We should look at what we've got. Maybe it's not worth selling the farm for this hot prospect, and let's give it one more shot with whoever's here.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten past the top 3 quarterbacks yet, but we see every year, teams in that like 28 to 32 range. They trade back. They trade out of the first round to the top of the second round. Let a team in to go get a quarterback. We see it like every other year. And that could happen this year too, where like a 4th quarterback goes that we're not even thinking about right now in January. And we're like, oh, didn't expect this guy to go. So that is that's going to be fun. But yeah, Andrew, it's not because of this game. It's because quarterbacks are just always naturally inflated. And this year will be no different. I mean, as much as I don't think any of the quarterbacks are a top 10 talent, you're probably going to see at least one go in the top 10. I mean, it happens every year. So, yeah.
I'm over here looking for this tweet and I can't find it. But speaking of Jimmy G and him keeping his job or not, it was of the 4 teams remaining in the playoffs. These are the passing touchdown leaders, and it's like Mahomes with 8, and I think there was a 5 and a 4, and then Kelsey with 1 and Jimmy G with 0. Like Kelsey has a passing touchdown and Garoppolo doesn't. So all that says to me is even if they get to the Super Bowl, they're just gonna think they got a better ceiling with Trey Lance. So I think he's out.
Oh yeah, and
they're getting there despite or in spite of his performance.
And Jimmy G is the type of dude that it's like if he's your quarterback and everything else is really good, maybe you can do something. But everything else has to be really good. And that's what the 49ers pretty much have done. That defense is really good. The offensive line is really good. They have a lot of exciting weapons. And Jimmy G. like he
looks
just
like they made it to the Super Bowl before and they couldn't match up with Mahomes in the end. When it mattered, when it really mattered, they couldn't get it done.
They couldn't turn it up. Because
they were that level.
They were winning for 50 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
And then Patrick Mahomes just said, "All right, I got to put this team on my back." And don't disrespect Jimmy G like that. Short logic.
That's a bitter Vikings fan right there. I feel you.
Yeah. No.
Don't do that to Jimmy G.
Oh, Brad Johnson, come on, man. Come on, man.
Come on, man. But yeah, it's I'm kind of with Drew. I kind of want to see the world burn and see what San Fran does if they somehow won a Super Bowl with.
I want to be a fly in the wall in that PR room.
Jimmy G. Like, what do you do? Like, you just go, all right, Jimmy, thank you for your service. And you just, you give him the boot or you try to trade him. Hey.
If he wins, he stays. But if he doesn't win, even if he gets there but doesn't win,
he'll land on his feet.
I do.
No, he's starting somewhere. He's starting somewhere next year.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many quarterback openings right now. I mean,
you got Pittsburgh, you got Denver, you got Tampa Bay, you got Carolina.
Oh, you said you got Tampa Bay.
Try to sneak that in there, huh? Get that one through. That'd be the story, huh? Go and take over after Brady after all.
God, could you imagine? That would be
Oh, man.
Could you imagine his Instagram account in Tampa?
You got the Jets. Justin just trying to rile everyone up now. You got the Jets.
Larry's going to listen to this later and be like, that mother.
Oh, short logic. I like this one.
Okay.
QB opening in Miami. Drew.
Thought we understood each other here.
There might be an opening.
Drew's going to be in there like adminning in the Twitter group. Like, all right, short logic muted forever.
Yeah.
You can sit in timeout for a week with that one.
I'll give you a tip, Drew. If you block somebody in a Twitter group, it'll remove them from the group. Had this happen in a league I was in. Like somebody muted someone else and it was like they got kicked. Like, what just happened here?
That's
not
hilarious.
Blocked. Someone blocked someone else. And we're like, hold on, time out.
I think I saw
Who
that.
blocked who here?
Yeah.
Who blocked somebody?
Yep.
Oh, that's so funny. I did not know that. I'm not interesting enough to block. So no, I mean, I'm sure people have me blocked. I don't know who they are. I never. I love when people are like, "Hey, so and so has me blocked." I'm like, I don't even know. The whole world could have me blocked, and I'd still be tweeting about Jimmy G and just trying to get people riled up. So, um, but Sure Logic, I got your back. They won't kick you out, and if they do, I'll bring you back. Bring you right back in. But interesting Miami opening possibly there at quarterback. Jimmy G can come in there and save the day. Bring that team
Next on the timeline.
I
to a
got him on
Super
the
Bowl.
Steelers. I got him on the Steelers for real. I think he'd be a good fit there.
I agree.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. That's not the Steelers' usual MO, so I'd be very interested to see if they break from their trends and go that direction. So, all right, next one here is from John Helmkamp at John Hellcamp. Josh Jacobs is probably the cheapest RB1 for 2022 that you can acquire. So, let's start off with this. Is that true or is that false? Drew, true or false?
Gosh, I don't know. I would say
Do you guys know where he finished this year?
I do.
is he 8, 9?
Eight, nine, what?
RB 8 or 9?
He's not quite there,
No.
but it ain't much difference. He was RB 12.
12. Okay.
In 15 games, he had 226 points. Let's see. CPAT in 16 games had 234, so 8 more points. He was He was RB 9.
Okay.
Gibson had 229 in 16 games. On a per game basis, I mean, he was above Zeke, CPAT, Gibson, Montgomery, Darrell Henderson, James Robinson. I mean, he had a little more juice than people think. He had 15.1 a game in PPR, which is all we're playing.
Yeah.
So, Drew, true or false?
For somebody who's going to be playing next year, I would say that's probably a pretty true statement. I don't expect Patterson to repeat wherever he is, whatever he's doing. Unless you're really looking to do a crystal ball here and you think you can get one of these either free agent guys or somebody that you think is going to have a good shot at it. I feel like he's probably kind of where those lines cross of what's a solid bet and decent price.
If you're looking at guys that might drop out, James Conner, Leonard Fournette, possibly Zeke. I'm sorry, Josh. I know you still CPAT, and then maybe even Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But then right behind, you got Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, Dalvin Cook, Javonte Williams. Even David Montgomery could get back in there. I think it's interesting. Like, he's going to be in that mix. There's going to be people that you expect to drop out, but then there's a lot of people waiting right there.
Yeah.
So, true or false, Justin?
I'm going to say true.
Ooh, two
I'm
trues.
going to say true. He's dirt cheap. If he can play 15 or 16 games, I'm not projecting anybody to play all 17.
Yeah, 14 plus is good.
Yeah.
I say false because he's not going to be an RB1. So I say he may be one of the cheapest high-end RB2s that you can acquire, but I don't think he stays in that 9, 10, 11 range. I think he falls out. I think you're going to see, like Justin said, you're going to see some guys rise up. You're going to have your Nick Chubb. If this is the real Cam Akers, I think he can jump into that territory. J.K. Dobbins, another injured guy who I think can definitely get the workload in Baltimore to get himself into a top 12 position. I think there are quite a few guys actually that can, like Justin said, that are kind of just waiting in the wings to rise up. So
now, where do you think Jacobs finished in 2020? RB what?
12.
18?
12 for you, Josh. 18 for you, Drew. 8 RB8
There you
Oh, in
go.
2020, geez.
in 2020. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he's really under the radar as far as a running
I
back.
mean, they had a good line, and they used him. I think health, he got dinged up a little bit in 2020.
They played 15 games, so 15. He played
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's 15 in 2 straight seasons.
I was gonna say he
Like
plays
he
through a
played-
lot of injuries.
Yeah, he plays through some stuff. So
Yeah, he played
Did you always-
13 in 2019, and I think it was like RB21 or something like that. But
'Cause you
still
always-
a solid per game average.
Because you always hear about he's got this, but he's going to play. He's
Yeah.
got that.
he gets
but
his
he's
12
gonna-
or 15 touches.
A lot
falls
of
in the end
questionable
zone.
tags. A lot
Yeah.
of questionable tags.
that always gets you. But yeah, I think there's just so many guys, and it's funny because, I mean, we usually talk about like, oh, who's going to be the running back from this rookie class that's going to. I don't think there are any that are going to jump into that. Like, this year we were like, oh, Najee is probably going to be a guy who's going to be in the top 12, and there's usually one or two guys every year that we predict. And this year,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any that will. And look, I could be wrong.
Landing
but-
spot's going to change everything as far
Yeah.
as what Brees Hall,
Oh,
Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Spiller. We might see one of those guys go to a spot, and you're like, oh yeah, okay,
Which one do you
I
want
think
for
they
your
got-
team, Justin?
Do what?
Which one do you want for your team?
Any of them? The one that that they can get in the third round? Probably Kenneth Walker. So,
You don't want to spend that too on a Brees Hall.
have you seen that team?
Hey, listen, they took Kyle Pitts last year.
Which I love that so much. No, no, I'm
I'm
still
just-
salty about that. Like, okay, so we're gonna get rid of Julio and replace him with a rookie and try to contend. This is some bass backwards crap right here. Bass backwards.
Well, you got Matt Ryan for another 2 years?
Probably 2 years.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted Fields.
I mean, the pick should have been Fields. I mean,
Should have been Fields.
even
Georgia
even,
boy. It just would have made sense.
I mean, even if you had to pay Matt Ryan to for salary cap magic reasons,
Yeah.
like Justin Fields, he sits for a year as the backup. He learns the ropes. Then you just have a real high-priced backup in Matt Ryan sitting on the bench. Just
Yeah, I have an issue with the Falcons knowing that they had to get rid of Julio Jones and be like, we're going to try and contend this year. We're going to build around Matt Ryan, knowing without planning ahead that they had to get rid of Julio in the summer. There was no forethought to anything of what they were doing.
Then they
Like,
got
hit the reset button for a year. At some point, you have to.
jump for Javante.
Yeah, I don't even know if they were even thinking, oh yeah, we're going to take a running back here.
Oh,
I don't know what they're doing.
Oh, everyone was saying that that them in Miami were trying to get him, and I think Denver jumped both of them to get
Yeah.
Javante. So
Yeah, man, if they can re-sign CPAT and he can replicate 80% of what he did this year, I'll be super happy with what they've got.
Yeah.
If they get a young rookie back there that can run, and when I say that, maybe Kenneth Walker isn't the best fit because he's a little bit of a slider build guy. Like get Spiller back there with CPAT, that could be fun.
yeah, that's going to be interesting to see a team like Atlanta who's got a pretty high pick there. What they decide to do, which direction they decide to go in. Are they still going to keep trying to plug away on the offense because they have an offensive-minded head coach? It'll be very interesting to see. Drew will be way down in the first round, probably falling asleep by the time the Bills pick comes.
I know.
All I know is
We'll all
anything's
be
better than
we'll be
Mike
all on
Davis.
here, right?
Yeah, I hope so. What were you saying,
What'd you
Justin?
say, Justin?
Anything's better than Mike Davis. Anything's better.
Oh, man.
I said it all summer. He was going to lose his job. There was no way he's keeping his job because he sucks. He lost his job to a 32-year-old converted wide receiver. Whatever, man. Whatever.
And I'm not gonna lie. I said I don't think Mike Davis is talented, but there ain't a soul on this roster. And apparently,
There was.
CPAT made that deal with the devil and got himself a year's worth of rejuvenation because he hadn't done that ever in the league, and he just decided, this was going to be the year that he does it.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy what he did.
I couldn't imagine a guy like Javante in that system. Dude, he would be like the RB2 in startups if he had been used
soon enough, Josh. Soon enough.
Getting that work that they got in Atlanta, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
would have been nice.
CPAT
250 carries and like 75, 80 targets. I mean, did you realize that? Okay, so CPAT had 69 targets. Nice. But Mike Davis had 58 himself. Boy, they were dumping and dumping and dumping. Yeah.
See, a coach should get fired just for that stat alone. What are you doing throwing anything to Mike Davis? And I'm not saying he can't catch, but like, why is he on the field to get that many targets? Like, what the hell are we doing out here? Like, geez, I would rather find another wide receiver and put him in at running back on third down to come out of the backfield and catch passes.
Second most targets to the running back this year, Atlanta had. I bet you can't guess who had the number one most targets to the running back.
God. Don't tell me it was Pittsburgh and Najee.
No, there's no way you're getting this. They're not even that high because he's the only one that got targets. The Pittsburgh targeted their running backs 105 times. Najee got 90 of those.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to think here.
There's 0% chance, a 0% chance that you get this.
Most targets.
Which should make it even easier to get, but there's a 0% chance.
That's what I'm like. That's why I'm like thinking like, all right, I'm going through Houston.
Nope. I don't even know where Houston is. I have to scroll down.
I don't know. I was trying to think of like a bad team that nobody would guess as. All right, so who was it?
The Raiders.
Interesting. Okay.
141 targets. 62
Dang.
to Jacobs, 40 to Drake. Payton Barber got 13, and there's a miscellaneous, I don't know, 25 or 28 or whatever there. Yeah.
Some other
the
guy.
Raiders with them.
I got 25 targets for Vegas. Nobody's out there.
Exactly.
I'm the miscellaneous. But that's an interesting stat. I wouldn't have guessed. You said you'd never get it, so I was like, all right, like what's a bad team that is?
But see, like you don't even think of.
Well, that was the narrative,
Raiders,
right? Is that Jacobs isn't going to get? Yeah. Nobody thought Jacobs was going to get any targets.
62 targets, you know. So
I wonder how many of those targets. I wonder what the percentages were with Gruden and after Gruden. That I would be.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, because I can sort that also. Hold on. When did Gruden get fired?
Was it
6?
So maybe like 5 or 6.
Okay, he was fired on October the 28th.
All right, but that.
Oh God, that's
Vegas.
like week 7 or 8.
Justin's right. I wouldn't have guessed Vegas in a million years. I mean,
no, I was thinking like, are they counting Debo in San Francisco or something? Aaron Jones.
Debo's just a wide receiver rushing the ball.
Yeah, right.
By the way, let's get Debo that RB eligibility for 2022. Let's go.
Okay, so they fired him during the bye week, or
That was 8.
So he was there for the first 7 games. So I'll plug in because you can sort. All right, so from week 8 on, whatever.
I love technology. By the way, we can
all
do
right,
all this
so
stuff.
83 targets in the what's that? How many games after that?
9 games.
Figure out
The 10 games after.
Was that 10 games?
Yep.
No. Yeah, 10 games. Yeah, so 83 in 10 games.
Yeah, so 8.3 targets per game after.
Right.
And they had
6 targets.
141 for the season.
141 minus 83 divided by
balanced.
7. 8, almost exactly the same.
Yeah, it's pretty balanced.
8.28, 8.3. They just were. That was their MO.
That's interesting because I thought Gruden liked to play that old school 1990s offense. I thought that the numbers would have went up once he was out and they had Rich Bisaccia take over. But that's interesting. That was pretty much dead even. So
I'm curious
If
what
he-
they did in 2020, just out of.
if Rich Bisaccia comes back as the head coach, which I think he should, but he
I
hasn't
hope so.
he hasn't been officially named the head coach yet. You could pretty much, expect the same style of offense, which means you should probably expect similar,
Josh Jacobs RB1 numbers.
Yeah, there you go.
We got a lot of up and comers. We got a lot of up and comers. A lot of up and comers.
Just give him 4 targets a game. It's fine. Yep.
Hey Drew,
Do I smell a?
you want to make a bet?
No.
Josh Jacobs RB1 bet? $5?
It sure is slim. He's RB12. We're like, all right, let's bet he's an RB1.
RB1 in a 14-team league?
Oh.
Dude, RB1 in a 12-team league. Come on. You're confident. I'm confident. Put your money where your confidence is.
Do you like rooting
Talk
for
to me
Josh
next week.
Talk to me. We'll talk about this next
We'll
week.
talk about it
I'll
next
make sure to get another Josh Jacobs question on, just so I can bring this up again.
Drew's got to consult his psychic. He's got to call 1-800 psychics and see what
I
they
got to
say.
call the hotline and just make sure that they're okay with one more. Like, was the last one really the last one?
So this is what went through Drew's mind. He goes, okay, so I got everything from 1 to 12. Josh has everything from 13 to infinity.
Yeah.
Last time I made a bet like this, it cost
got
me a
everything
lot
from,
of money.
Yeah. He's got everything from 13 to Juju. Huh.
Oh my!
We'll call infinity now. Just Juju.
Who invited this guy?
This is one of the many reasons why I love talking fantasy with Justin, is because you can always end up with a good laugh. But I actually like talking fantasy with Justin because him and I don't agree probably like 70% of the time. And those are the people I love to talk fantasy with the most, because you can at least see another point of view. Like, I don't have to agree with that point of view, but I can go, all right, that's something I didn't necessarily think of. And that's why I like talking fantasy with people that don't necessarily agree with me, because as long as you're respectful and everything, and if you call me a dumbass.
Yeah, that's what
I'll
I can't get about Twitter. Like, Twitter gets so hostile instead of just being able to have a conversation, be like, okay, yeah, this is my thought, this is your thought, go back and forth.
Yeah.
People get like, oh, well, F you, man. Okay, fine. Whoa. I thought
Some
we were
people
talking
get kicked
fantasy
out of
football,
chats.
not.
Listen, man, I love, I'm not going to lie, I love being called the dumbass on Twitter. You're a dumbass. Okay. Like, I knew that already, but I mean, if you're just out here
You've
stating
been talking
the
to my wife
obvious,
again, I see.
yeah, like, if you just want to state the obvious, go ahead. I'm just trying to have a fantasy conversation with you. Like, but yeah, that'll be fun. So Drew, we'll pick this up.
We'll revisit.
Next week.
We'll see if Rick keeps the job. Then I'll feel much more confident.
So Justin, all I'm going to do this week is just send Drew text messages of Josh Jacob highlight reels. Come on, man. Look, dude, he took this past 50 yards, bro. Come on.
Yeah, right.
That was really what it was, too. It's like a whole bunch of 12 yards.
Yeah.
You're going to find the 50-yarders. You're going to find the 15-yarders.
So,
I don't think he has a reception that went over 50 yards.
Justin's going to look it up.
I'm pulling. Hold on.
His long
32 yards is his long, is my guess. 32 yards.
What's his long?
I'm saying 32.
32.
32?
I'll take the over on 32.
All right, so let's see here.
This is radio.
Pure entertainment.
His longest rush of the year was 28 yards.
Okay.
And his longest reception was 29 yards.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
He keeps it consistent.
Hey.
His
Emmitt
longest
Smith
reception of his career. Take a guess. His longest reception of his whole career.
35.
He's got 107 catches.
35.
43.
29 yards.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
That should be on a Dynasty game night.
Yeah. Freaking over-under game.
Yeah, like, hey, all right, just start naming guys like James Robinson, long reception of the season. Just have people guess it. Oh, that's good. 29 yards, longest. So I might have to go back to his Alabama tape then to find those 50-yard
The
receptions.
explosive plays. He does have a run from his rookie year of 51 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That
the
probably
longest
was
play of
not a
his career.
touchdown either, though.
Yeah, probably not. He probably got hawked down.
And listen, Daniel Jones had like a 70-yard run that didn't end up in a touchdown. You know what?
He didn't get hawked down either. No one caught him.
The 10-yard line tripped him
He
off.
caught his toe on the turf is what he caught. I still can't get it. Like, I'm a runner. I still don't understand how that happened. Like, he just got a little happy-feeted, excited. I can't figure it out.
Dude, he was like, I never thought my NFL career this would ever happen. And the end zone was just in sight. And that right foot caught that left foot.
Looked up at the jumbotron trying to figure out who's catching up to him.
But that's what I can't figure out. Naturally, my feet still go like next to each other.
Right.
I don't get it. What the hell happened that he's like, oh, my feet are one back like in line now. He's doing a daggum sobriety test on the field.
It was tough to read the thread today. That Schoen said he wants to build around what Daniel Jones does best.
He wants to build an offense because I watched the press conference. He wants to build an offense that accentuates the things that Daniel Jones does well.
You can imagine how brutal Twitter was at that.
But listen, what is he gonna say? Daniel Jones sucks out loud. Like he's got to toe the company line. He's got they asked him like, hey, you guys picking up Daniel Jones' 5th-year option? He's like, we'll have to see about that. So that's not exactly
a lot of evaluating to be done.
That's not exactly a ringing
I'll
endorsement.
tell you what the evaluation is. Like come April the 27th or whatever, when what do they have? They're the 5 and the 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
When that pick comes up on the clock, they're going to start evaluating. Okay, do we want to pick up that 5th-year option?
I don't think they pick it up.
No.
I mean, if this guy is as smart as everyone says he is, listen, Daniel Jones is going to do one of two things.
If DJ goes crazy, you franchise him and you sign him to a contract. Yeah. I could not pick up that 5th-year option. Could not.
No. Look, I mean, all you have to do is look at what Carolina did. They got excited for some reason. They picked up that 5th-year option on I almost said Sam Darnold. And now they're like, oh man, this dude stinks out loud. And now we got to pay him, I think, $25 million. When they could have just said, hey, we're gonna let Sam Darnold do his thing. If he shows out, we're gonna pay him. And if he doesn't, we'll figure it out.
$21.3 million is what DJ's 5th-year option would be.
I just hope he doesn't walk into this thinking he's going to turn him into the next Josh Allen.
No.
There is no next Josh Allen.
No, thank you. I don't care what Rocky says. There is no. There is.
Or Rocky just hopes Jalen Hurts anything.
Have you seen the side-by-side stats of Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts? Somebody put it up from their first 2 seasons, and how Jalen Hurts is. I'm like, okay, if you think
watch them play, yeah.
If you think Jalen Hurts is going to be the unicorn, because that's really what Josh Allen like.
Sure.
Let's keep it real. Like, the dude did have accuracy issues. Yeah, he had a cannon, he had wheels, he had all that, and I think there was a lot of good coaching and a lot of hard work on Josh Allen's part to get him to where he is now. But that's the unicorn. Like, there's really not another example of a guy that is kind of like, he's not really accurate. He's average in like the pass game, even though he has a big arm, that just turns into this like quarterback machine, which is pretty much what Josh Allen is right now, is a machine. Like, Jalen Hurts, nice guy. Like, he hard worker, leader, all that stuff. But he is what he is. Like, people are like, he can get better. And I'm like, sure, he can go from like 63% to like 65%. But like, You know,
Hell, he already made a huge leap from 52 to 61. It's like there's a law of diminishing returns where you can't always just go up 9%. You know,
Yeah, I mean that
Right,
turns
I
into an
mean-
asymptote at some point, and you're going to level off at wherever your ceiling is.
I mean, when you have twice as many games under 200 passing yards than you do over 200 passing yards,
it's
and
not
we're
great, Bob.
and we're talking about the 2021 NFL season. We're not talking about 1976. I mean, we're talking about like where
Passing league.
I mean, guys like Cooper Rush for one game throw for over 200 yards. Like that's not good. Like, yes, he can run, and for fantasy, hey, grab him. He's going to run for a bunch of yards. He's probably going to run for a bunch of touchdowns. But like, if you're expecting him to do the Josh Allen, like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know if we'll ever see that kind of leap again from another player.
It was pretty impressive.
Hey, listen, you know,
Hey, as a Bills fan, I was not expecting that. I was expecting to go 2 years and another quarterback.
Just like you have always.
Yeah,
So,
since Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly, yeah.
all right, look, Drew, I don't just do it to you, man. Short logic. Let's not talk about that Cooper Rush game. I was at that one. Cooper Rush, GOAT. I'll throw that out there. You know, greatest of all time in that one game. Actually, he was probably the most average of all time, but he got the win, so I will take it. And let's knock out one more on the way out here. Here's a good one from fellow DAT member at Andrew Hall FF. Buy Michael Thomas at as low of a cost as possible. First of all,
It's fair.
do you guys want to buy Michael Thomas? Justin says yes. Drew says
It all depends on what it costs. I don't have a whole lot of interest beyond. He'd be another guy. I'd throw a second at him if I can get him for that late second.
Just about to say 201. The 201 or MT.
201.
what about you, Justin?
I'm taking Michael Thomas. I think you get. He's not returning to top 2 or 3 wide receiver seasons, you know. But I think he's easily a wide receiver 2 if he plays next year, and I assume that he's going to play because that's just how I operate. So,
I'm very interested to see where he plays.
Me too.
I don't think it's going to be in New Orleans, especially with the cap issues and the relationship between him and
I was just saying, I think he's a post June 1 cut because he does have a lot of dead cap, but they can spread that out, and they need. Oh my gosh, they need help. 76 million over. 76 million over.
So my buddy sent me a tweet today. Sean Payton is the greatest dine and dasher ever.
Yeah, he has left them up a creek. That's for sure. With no paddle.
You know, it's funny though because I've heard a lot of people say that about Sean Payton, and I go, first of all, Sean Payton has been dealing with that salary cap mess for ever. It feels like, you know, once you start paying, you know, Drew Brees like 40, 45, 50 million dollars a season, like you're putting yourself in a hole that you understand at some point. And honestly, with half a season of Jameis Winston and half a season of Taysom Hill, they still almost make the playoffs. Like, that's the crazy part about it is like, oof, it's just like, it'll be interesting to see who takes over and who stays and who goes, because everyone's like, well, like, you know, Alvin Kamara is going to have to get traded, and you know, I don't think Alvin Kamara gets traded, but I think I agree with you, Justin. He's going to be a cut. I doubt anyone trades for him at his contract. But it'll be fun to see where he goes. I mean, he'll probably end up in Kansas City because that's what always happens. They just people leave and then they
totally see him somewhere like Buffalo. Like
he's the Emmanuel Sanders replation.
No,
like a huge upgrade.
Big
where you dodge the AB bullet
underneath routes.
Yeah, Drew, do you just wake up every day and just sing a song that AB decided he was too good to go to Buffalo?
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine.
I don't think Michael Thomas is AB though. I mean, Michael Thomas
I
has
hope
his
not.
own like insecurities, but I don't think he's absolute batshit. Like,
No,
would be.
no, I think he's just like a needy person. Like he just
He's
needs
like
to hear-
KD.
yeah,
He's the NFL KD.
he just wants people to say that they
Maybe
love
not quite as good.
him and that he's the best player to ever do it. He just needs that like kind of like, and it's
Yeah,
like
that
all right.
reassurance, that pat on the back.
Yeah, like okay, fine.
Yeah, it'll either
yeah.
be a team that'll cater to that, or it'll be a total opposite. It'll be Bill Belichick that brings him in and says, "You know what, the Patriot way or bust, man."
And
He's
I
gonna
can
put
see
it-
him going there too. They're going to need somebody.
They don't have a whole lot.
If he gets cut,
Detroit,
I don't see him going to
a
New
bad
England.
team.
I don't see him going to Detroit either, just because I don't think Detroit will make an offer on him. I think Detroit is really trying to build this thing up, go young, not a lot of big contracts.
What you're saying is you think they want the number 1 pick in 2023.
I mean, that's what they
Sure.
should.
Yeah,
That's what they should be going for.
that's how I would be operating. If I was
That
them.
and Dan Campbell culture, man.
I mean, people are saying like, oh, they might take a quarterback at 30 if like Malik Willis is available or something like that. And I'm like, at that rate, they're just going to stay with Jared Goff and then just go, all right, we're going to run this back one more time. We're going to be terrible. And then we're going to have the 101 and, the quarterback class in 2023 looks a lot better than the quarterback class this year. So, the 101 is the Super Bowl in Detroit. Wow, short logic out here.
And
Throwing barbs to the NFC North.
Bill's not even here anymore.
He just he just broke a bottle over Detroit Lions fans' heads. Jeez.
I mean, hey, listen, Detroit, they had some fire in their belly this year. They had some,
Look, they came out ready to play in a few games there.
They almost.
I mean, they finished some games too, man. That was.
They almost beat Baltimore. They tied with Pittsburgh. I mean, they played good against some teams that they should have probably got.
Isn't that a Mason Rudolph Pittsburgh though? So that's basically like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wait, Mason Rudolph played in that game?
Mason Rudolph equals Trevor Lawrence? What?
Yo, hey, yeah, I think it was.
I thought Big Ben played in that game.
Now I gotta look. I don't remember.
Now we gotta look. We're gonna look while Justin is looking.
I did not give Campbell credit.
It was Rudolph?
Yeah, that was Rudolph.
Okay, so not as impressive.
16-16.
But still, Pittsburgh was mad about that at the end.
Oh, salty.
They were
Had they not made the playoffs, it would have been like,
Oh God, if the Raiders had just knelt.
They might have cut Mason Rudolph right there.
They love Mason Rudolph for some reason.
Oh my God, I can't stand the guy.
I mean, that's fine, but Pittsburgh loves him for some reason because, like, the fact that he's still got a job,
Unreal.
it is amazing. And I get it. There's not even like
30. He's like dirt cheap and a backup. I mean, not really any reason to get rid of him.
Yeah, he sucks. That's a great reason to get rid of him. He stinks.
Most backups do, Josh. Most backups do.
I get it.
Mason Rudolph or Mike Glennon is your backup.
Oh, stop. Mike Glennon. The fact that he still gets work.
There you go. All right.
Yeah. Look at that neck. That neck game from Mississippi, Mike Glennon himself.
That's how he wins all those races.
Just it's on the lean, man. It's on the lean.
Hey, listen, you can say whatever you want about Mike Glennon. Giants fans were begging for him to come back once Jake Fromm got out there and started slinging the rock.
Y'all, as a Georgia fan, I was like, please stop embarrassing us. Just go back to the bench, please. Please stop.
But can you imagine, we all work in different industries, and you were just like terrible at your job, but people were just like, hey, we want to offer you insane amounts of money to keep doing what you're terrible at doing. I'd be like, okay, like if you're gonna keep paying me big sums,
dude, I'll just be awful. It's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, as long as you
I have no
acknowledge what you're getting.
I have no aspirations to be like the best of any particular thing. I'm just like, pay me the most money to be average at whatever you need me to be. It's fine. I'm
like
good.
Jake Fromm, he comes back to the locker room after the game, His paycheck is in his locker. He just looks at all those numbers and he goes, "God bless America. This. I couldn't do this anywhere else. I couldn't make this much money being terrible at what I do anywhere else." Like, it's just amazing. I mean, Justin, you're right. There's not even 32 good starters in the league. There's definitely not 32 good backups in the league. But man, if you got to get into third string guys, oh man, you are scraping the bottom of some barrels. I mean,
it's not great, Bob.
Even in Detroit, when who did they have? They had to have start this
Boyle?
year. Yeah,
Tim Boyle.
Yeah, like
there was a lot of people that didn't need to start games that were behind center the last couple of years.
Oh, that's crazy.
For sure.
Was it like an average of like 45 quarterbacks start a game each season or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gross.
I mean, did Josh Rosen start any games for the Falcons?
Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, listen, I'm just asking. We gotta get the young guy out there, see what he can do. That should have been Justin Fields. Never mind.
They have Gage. They don't need.
I think it's time to wrap this up. I gotta go.
Justin needs to go punch a wall.
Matty started all 17 this year.
Yeah, I figured he does. He doesn't really miss games, does he?
No.
Misses a lot of other things, but not games.
Yeah. He's missed one game since his second season.
Wow.
He's missed 3 games in his entire career.
Wow.
That's stability is availability.
He's like the South's Eli Manning. He just plays in every game.
He's better than Eli Manning. I don't want to talk about it.
All right, so Justin at Run DFF, thank you for coming on the show today. Appreciate you. No, but we are going to wrap it up. We're an hour and a half in. Justin, I do appreciate you coming on, man. Love having you on. It's so much fun. We kind of took the laid back hot sauce vibe today. We didn't get too deep into anything. We almost had a bet, but Drew's not sure about Josh Jacobs. I mean, I'm sure about Josh Jacobs, but Drew's not. So we'll see. We'll work on him, Justin. You keep telling him how good.
Tune in next week.
You keep telling him how good Josh Jacobs is. I'm gonna find.
I'll keep it up.
I'll find the Alabama highlight videos where he has those big explosive plays, and I'll tell you, like, he can do this in the NFL. He can, I promise. But just on the way out, Justin, just remind people where they can find you.
Yeah, at RunDFF on Twitter, and check out our pod, Dynasty Hot Sauce Pod. You can find our handle on Twitter and search for us on any major podcast, streaming, whatever, yada, yada, yada. That's how you find me. And
Dynasty Hot Sauce, great podcast. You guys just had the Dynasty Trades HQ fellas on. That was
we did that for our 100th show because Larry and I met in HQ1 and kind of spawned out of that whole league. So our podcast did. So.
I know that long enough. You get to hear a bunch of guys talk about measuring things. Give it a listen.
Hey, gotta know.
I have a feeling whether it's track speed that you're measuring or anything else, Justin comes out on top in those one-on-ones versus Larry Monkey. Justin, world-class runner. World-class runner. Listen, man, you do like marathons and stuff. Like,
it's coming. Yeah.
If I have to run after one of my kids, I'm like done for the day. I'm just like, I'm tired.
I have to be after ditching daddy duty tonight.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna run from the wife in a minute.
Yeah, he's gonna get off of this pod and then just go, "Oh, honey, I'm going out for a run. I'll talk to you later." And he's just out the door. I think he's got his sneakers on already, ready to go. So
let me ask you, Justin. I've had you pop on a lot of times. You're saying you're coming back from a run. Do you typically run at night, or do you have a time of day you prefer?
Just whenever I can squeeze it in. So this afternoon I ran at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. But oftentimes, I mean, no kidding, 11:59, got to go out the door and run. So it's It depends on what's going on family wise and everything. So
Good for you, man.
Honestly, I've been on Hot Sauce 2 or 3 times, and every time that I've been on, Justin comes on and he goes, "Yeah, just got back from a run," and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure. Like,
and I'm
I
like,
knocked it out before. Yep.
and I'm like, yeah, I just got back from eating a pint of ice cream.
Yeah, I
So
just came back from the fridge.
yeah,
I have a policy that I won't drink until I run. So I try to get my runs in before podcasts so I can hang out and have a beer or two or whatever. Yeah.
Good.
you should
Good.
drink while you run.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we call that a beer mile.
Yeah,
And it sometimes doesn't work out so well.
As a doctor, I cannot condone that.
and then like 3/4 of the way through the beer mile, you look like Daniel Jones. You just
Oh, yeah. The feet no longer go next to each other. They're like,
yeah, they're trying to cross in
on top
front
of
of each other.
mm-hmm.
They're fighting
That's
for
like,
yeah.
yeah.
So, Justin, we appreciate you coming on. Appreciate the chat too, man. Chat is always fun. Short Logic was in here just, I think I saw K-Mac earlier. A lot of fun. Remember, if you're watching us live, hit the bell, hit subscribe so you know when everything on that network goes live. If you're listening to us in podcast form, we appreciate you. An hour and 36 minutes, you could literally be doing anything else. You could be running a beer mile with Justin, or performing surgery with the good doctor, or just eating a sandwich with me, because that's what we all pretty much do. 2 out of the 3 of those are correct. I'll let you guess which one isn't. Just remember, if you're doing the podcast thing, rate, review, subscribe, listen. We love 5 stars. I personally love the 1-star reviews, especially when the 1-star reviews edit their first 1-star review to retell how much they dislike me.
I like the 1-star reviews too. I really do.
I just love when you edit your own 1-star review. That means you listen twice to something you hate, and I appreciate that I have that kind of effect on you. So I love everybody. I appreciate everybody who listens, whether you love us or you hate us. And you know what? On that note, Drew, we are out of here.
Late.